For the most part, I tend to stay away from the DC shows on the CW, especially after, was it the third or fourth season of Flash? And it's like, okay, I can only see the Flash fight the same exact villain so many times in a row before I have to check out. And I was like, I don't want to invest in another CW show. My son and I have been watching Superman and Lois, but that's about it. So I haven't had a whole lot to say about Naomi and Batwoman and some of the other stuff going on the CW, but we do have news that Naomi is the latest DC property to get the axe at CW, and this really portends good things, I think, about the future of DC Comics. One of the real issues, not only with DC Comics, but with all of comic books in the mainstream, is there's a real lack of quality, and they don't seem to know when to say no mas. They don't seem to go, you know what, this really isn't working. How about we stop producing this comic book that nobody's reading or buying and maybe concentrate on something that our audience would actually be more interested in? It seemed like the CW, along with the producers over at Warner Brothers, were willing to kind of let Batwoman just keep going despite the fact that no one was really watching it. The people that were watching it was saying it was really bad, and the viewership was trending down very badly. The same thing pretty much happened with Naomi, but faster. I think by the end of season 1 of Naomi, it had half of its audience left. So I think it's very promising that David Zaslav and the new team in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery came in and they're saying, you know what? If things aren't working, if you've had enough time to get the kinks worked out and you can't find your audience, it's time to go and find something your audience actually wants to watch. So I'm really excited about this. These are the details that we do have about Naomi being canceled. Naomi has been canceled after one season at the CW. The DC series debuted its one and only season back in January. It is the latest DC project to get the axe at the CW following the cancellations of Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow. The only remaining DC shows on the CW are The Flash, Superman and Lois, and Stargirl. The character Naomi originally debuted in her own standalone comic book series in 2019, which was co-written by Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker. Ava DuVernay and Jill Blankenship co-wrote and executive produced the series. Naomi was a really odd choice to kind of fast track to the CW. There really was no inherent fan base for the character. Brian Michael Bendis at DC Comics hasn't exactly been a hit. Here's one of the real problems with Naomi and why this was just kind of a stupid idea to begin with. Is Naomi is original character, if you want to call it that, but really this is just Riri Williams, the replacement for Iron Man from the Marvel Comics universe, moved over into the DC Comics universe and given the power of Superman. Well, you've already got a Superman show on the CW. Why would you want two characters with pretty much the exact same power sets? And why would you fast track a character, a hero that essentially has no fan base? No one's ever heard of Naomi outside of the most diehard of diehard Brian Michael Bendis fans. A lot of the fans of the Arrowverse are fans of DC Comics. They want to see their favorite characters translated into the television medium and whatnot, but very few people in this world consider Naomi their favorite character. Then I guess the big idea was that you had Ava DuVernay associated with it. She was going to write and produce the series. Obviously, Ava DuVernay was supposed to do that New Gods project with Tom King. That one's already been canceled as well. But is Ava DuVernay talented? I know she directed the Selma film. She didn't write it. And obviously, that one did really well. I believe it was based on a best-selling book. Obviously, Martin Luther King is one of the most influential historical figures in American history. So it kind of makes sense that Selma would do very well at the box office and would be greeted and appreciated. But what else has she actually done? Everything that she's written is kind of done poorly. I know the next film that was supposed to be big after Selma was A Wrinkle in Time. That was supposed to be like a no-brainer. That was a big-time book that had a huge audience that came along with it. And they did not go to see that movie because they didn't like the direction that Ava DuVernay took with it. And then the things that she has written in the past, I don't think any of them have ever been a hit. But a majority of people haven't watched anything written by Ava DuVernay that was good, including Naomi. And I guarantee you 6 months ago, this would have been greenlit for a season 2 because that was what I think the focus of Warner Brothers were. But with the new leadership of David Zaslav and the new team that he's brought in, it's obvious that they are taking a different approach with their products, specifically the DC universe. I'm really hoping, this is a comic book channel, that this translates over to the DC Comics universe. That maybe we can get rid of some of the Ava DuVernays of DC Comics right now. What the hell is Stephanie Phillips doing there? What's Vita Ayala doing there? Why is Michael Conrad writing anything? Why is Tim Sheridan at DC Comics? None of them have ever been successful, and they can't actually sell anything. And not only can they not sell comic books, the comic books they do write that people read, they hate them because they're just not very talented. They're not very good. I like the immediate direction and changes that David Zaslav is bringing to the table as the new head of Warner Brothers Discovery. I find this stuff to be very, very exciting. Hopefully Zaslav will see the importance of Jeff Johns and bring him in to hopefully be the chief creative officer over all of DC Comics, and we can get some of this stuff moving forward. But it appears that there's a new dawn, a new age, where fans have a voice. If you say something sucks and you decide not to support it, David Zaslav is not going to continue supporting it by producing it. You know what? If you didn't like it, let's move on to something that people might actually like. And a show like Naomi deserved to be canceled, just like Batwoman. Batwoman was canceled at the CW after 3 seasons. This is what series showrunner Caroline Dries had to say on Twitter when it was canceled. Just got the sad news that Batwoman will not be seeing a season 4. I am bummed, but full of gratitude. What an honor to make 51 episodes. Thank you, fans. We love you. What fans? Nobody was watching this, and the people that were watching it were complaining about how god-awful it was. The only people that were watching it that were left were the people watching the car crash. You produced one of the worst superhero TV shows of all times. Unfortunately, in the past, not everyone treated superheroes like they were like serious storytelling. So we got a lot of really bad superhero stories in the past as far as television. So I watched 3 episodes of Batwoman, and season 3 is unwatchable. Like, where did they come up with this stuff? And it's just character assassination after character assassination. You could tell that nobody associated with Batwoman season 3 knew anything about Batwoman. They were just creating whatever they want to. They were just destroying characters left and right. It's a good thing that this all is ending. They're cleaning house when it comes to DC properties. We're seeing a lot of the really stupid projects that they wanted to put on the big screen. They're getting moved to the side. The J.J. Abrams, Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman, it ain't happening now. Naomi's been canceled. Batwoman's been canceled. Hopefully, someday soon, they'll get some good writers on Wonder Woman. Hopefully, someday soon, we'll get some good writers on Green Lantern and some of these other characters within the DC Comics universe that are absolutely being misused by DC Comics. It was clear that the CW, along with Warner Brothers, who were producing the show, had an agenda with what they wanted to do with the Arrowverse. And it wasn't to make the characters more popular. It wasn't to make money. It wasn't to produce the best damn superhero television show that they could. There were other agendas at work. It seems like with David Zaslav at the helm, there's a new agenda in town. It's customer satisfaction. It's making money. It's a bottom line that says we're tired of producing crap. We're tired of people, when they talk about our television shows like Batwoman and Naomi, talking about the worst superhero shows on television. They should have never greenlit the Naomi series to begin with. I don't care if people think that Ava DuVernay is a big deal. She's not. She's had one successful movie. It was called Selma, and I don't think she had anything to do with the success of that movie. The success of that movie is the admiration and the appreciation that people have for Martin Luther King Jr. and the research and work that was put into the novel that was the source for the movie and the screenplay itself. I'm not saying Ava DuVernay didn't do a good job on Selma. I'm just saying that movie was going to make money because people are really, really interested in that story, and it was a really well-told book. You know what wasn't well told? Naomi from Ava DuVernay, which she actually did write. The past 18 to 24 months as a DC Comics fan, as a DC Comics reader, had maybe almost become hopeless, that there were no brighter days in the future, that the lack of quality was going to be the new standard for DC Comics moving forward. We were told weeks ago that there was going to be a major overhaul at DC Comics, DC Films, Warner Brothers, all that stuff now that David Zaslav is in there. Heads are about to roll. Big changes are coming to DC Comics. It's starting with CW, but it's going to trickle down to DC Comics soon. Have this video talking about it. If you haven't seen this, definitely check it out.